a new intelligence report contradicts President Donald Trump's claims of Iran's nuclear program being completely obliterated after the U.S. strike. The reports say the strikes on 3 Iranian facilities did not fully destroy the core components of the country's nuclear program and likely set its nuclear program back by just a few months. The report has cited people familiar with the Defense Intelligence Agency findings who said that the U.S. strikes did not fully eliminate Iran's centrifuges or stockpile of enriched uranium. According to the report, the strikes sealed off entrances to some facilities without destroying underground buildings. Now, while the White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt confirmed that the authenticity of the assessment, she said it was flat out wrong and was classified as top secret but was still leaked. Now, according to satellite images provided by Maxar Technologies on June 24th, Iranian nuclear facilities, buildings near an airport, a university, all sustained damage from airstrikes. U.S. forces struck Iran's 3 main nuclear sites. Now, on Saturday, over a dozen bombs were dropped on 2 of the nuclear facilities, the Fordo Fuel Enrichment Plant and the Natanz Enrichment Complex. President Donald Trump and higher-ranking U.S. officials, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, have said that the weekend strikes essentially eliminated Iran's nuclear program. Now, while multiple reports suggest that 400 kg stockpile of the uranium remains unaccounted for, this could be a powerful bargaining chip for Iran when the Iran-U.S. nuclear talks happen. Well, joining us live on the broadcast from New York is Ms. Ruthie Bloom, a former advisor at the Office of Prime Minister Netanyahu. She's an author and award-winning columnist. Thank you so much for joining on the broadcast. Let's just get into it now. The new report, which says that these attacks have just set back Iran just a few months from this whole nuclear program. Do you think, after this report, of course, these are preliminary reports, but do you think that Israel has actually achieved what they wanted to after involving U.S. and in this whole conflict?
Okay, so as regards the report, note that all these reports are by anonymous sources. So as a journalist, I don't trust any report that says according to a source and not saying who it is, senior U.S. intel. So first of all, I don't buy it. Second, even if, let's say for the sake of argument, that it is true, what Israel has accomplished is major. And why? Because first of all, it has shown the Arab world, the whole world actually, and Israelis, that Iran was much weaker than we had originally thought, in the sense that once Israel destroyed its air defenses in October, the path was clear for airstrikes on military targets and Revolutionary Guard Corps targets, including senior commanders. Many strategic targets were hit. And why is that crucial? Because we got more intelligence, and now Iran realizes that if it makes one false move, Israel will be able to start again if need be. And that's the only reason that Iran is saying, okay, we'll come back to the table.
Right, but then do you think that takes us back to point one? Because there were talks.
Not at all.
Okay.
No, I don't, because I think, first of all, President Trump made it very clear to the Iranians in the beginning that diplomacy meant you guys capitulate, and then we'll let you live. I mean, not literally let them live. I mean, let them not be assassinated by airstrikes, or let them stay where they are as long as they do not pose a threat to the region and the world. So basically what he was saying is, we're happy to talk to you. We love the Iranian people, but you have to either destroy your own nukes, or we're going to do it for you and you'll be sorry. And that's basically what happened. Now, as for you mentioned the uranium that has so-called gone missing, right? Well, actually, Israel seems to know where it is.
Okay.
Where it is or who has it is not clear, but that story will eventually be revealed. I say that judging by how confident Prime Minister Netanyahu has seemed and has been, and how eager President Trump was to end this right now, that both America and Israel actually do know where it is and how to prevent it from getting into the wrong hands or into the atmosphere.
That's a really important point you picked up there about this 400 kg uranium enrichment. Well, let's also let's go back to the point that Iran had never really said that they will go for a nuclear weapon. They have always said that they're going to go for enrichment, which is something that they'll be bringing to the table again. Is there some kind of, what kind of negotiations will be now at the table, and what could be different from the earlier talks that could have happened?
Well, that's a good question, because it's really difficult to have genuine negotiations with radical Islamist, murderous, terrorist regimes. Okay, they don't tell the truth. Every deal you make with them, they violate. So you have to be very careful. So I would say that mainly the purpose of the negotiations is for America to assert its power, and for Israel to be watching carefully and saying, look, we don't really care whatever deal you sign, but we are now watching. You are not going to threaten Israel anymore. And note that Israel targeted strategic, it accomplished much strategically, whereas Iran accomplished nothing strategically. It just killed a couple of dozen Israelis there. It's tragic, of course. Sent Israelis into bomb shelters. That's inconvenient, of course. Knocked down a couple of buildings. Not nice. Nothing strategic. It was just a tantrum with ballistic missiles that are deadly.
All right. Also, I'll pick on that as well. So we know that Israel is known for its very great air defense systems. It is for the very first time that we have to make sure of that, to mention that Israeli missiles were able to go through the airspace and do considerable damage to Israel. How is Israel taking, all of this? Because it is for the first time that their air defense somehow was not able to take down all of the missiles, and they saw some damage.
Well, I think the reason for that is the massive number of missiles that were coming simultaneously, and also the type of missiles. I have to say, the Israeli government told Israelis before, when the Iranians started their retaliating against our defensive preemptive strike, that these missiles were not the same as the Houthi missiles or the Hamas missiles, and that it's no longer okay to just be in your stairwell or in a basement. You have to be in an official bomb shelter, you have to be near the shelter, and you have to be in an official safe room, etc., fortified room, because these are extremely powerful. And when they come in massive numbers, it puts Israel's air defenses at a disadvantage. Of course, the missile, many were intercepted, but not enough, of course, not all. And it was made very clear to the public to be very, very careful, because these are much more deadly and much more, and there are going to be many more of them at one time. And we saw that happen. By the way, having said that, Iran was using up a lot of those missiles by doing that. And as I said, it was trying to flex its muscles, but got nothing accomplished other than, may I say, it did accomplish giving Israelis a kind of unity that they haven't been feeling for a while.
Right, absolutely. Of course, that being said, Israel, it's not just this conflict with Iran. They have also been in this whole conflict with Hamas as well. That being said, of course, we'll have to look at how all these talks take part. Would Israel want to go back to the conflict if at all they're not happy with the kind of negotiations they see?
Okay, so first of all, let's just make clear, Israel does not want war anywhere, ever, okay? It's always forced on us, and it's forced on us, mainly it's been by Iranian proxies. So let's make that clear. So Israel is never happy to go to war. But what we will be, I wouldn't say happy, willing with great resolve to do, is to do whatever it takes to prevent that threat from rising up again. And is still, don't forget, as you point out, we still haven't finished off Hamas in Gaza, mainly because Hamas is still holding 50 Israeli hostages. But also Hezbollah in Lebanon, although we have a ceasefire with them, an official one, they're continuing to build terror tunnels and move weapons, and we continue to strike them when they do. So I think Israelis have come to understand that when Netanyahu says to the Iranians, okay, we're not firing on you, but one false move, and we're prepared to do it again, I think now Israelis believe him.
Absolutely, of course. There's a lot of things to anticipate when we actually see the talks happening and how that all plays out. But for now, thank you so much, Ms. Ruthie Bloom, for joining us on the broadcast and giving your insights. It's a pleasure.
And thank you so much for having me.